They make these really beautiful little blue flowers that are a little curly.
Brent Robinson loves to garden.
When you dig the hole, you put the entire root ball in the hole. I like to break it up a little bit.
It's his zen, his quiet time.
It's very calming. The plants don't talk back.
It helps him relax outside of the classroom.
One of the sections that I really appreciate in the book is a period that's called Reconstruction.
Robinson is a history teacher in Pinellas County. His area of expertise, African American history.
I like this because it's also a combination of art. So what she does is she weaves in the narrative of the course of African American history, but she does it with art.
This is his 27th year teaching, but this year is different for him. Florida's Department of Education has put in new standards for teaching about events like slavery. Those new standards include language about slaves benefiting by learning from important trades like blacksmithing.
I want to put the standard up on the smart board and say, this past year, right before we began the school year, guys, there was a change made. There was a revision made to our standards, and I want you guys to read it. I want you to think about it, and I want you guys, knowing what you know about plantation slavery, knowing what you know happened, what kind of thoughts do you have about the standard?
Robinson says he disagrees with the new standards, but that it's not his job to express that to his students. He says the change will affect how slavery and race-related massacres are taught, pointing to the Rosewood Massacre of 1923 in Florida as an example.
The new standard essentially says that when you teach about, let's say, Rosewood or Ocoee, because they're here in Florida, and all U.S. history teachers will teach about those, that you teach them as a, quote, act of where violence was perpetrated against and by African Americans. That by African Americans, meaning now you're going to go out of your way to point out that there were times where African Americans also used violence.
Robinson worries this could create division among students of different backgrounds. Despite some of his concerns about the new guidelines, he will follow the standards, but he will make his students aware of all sides.
I'm actually not even comfortable acknowledging that there were personal benefits. So what I'd like to do is actually use this as an opportunity, since this is the first year these standards have been in effect, to do what I always do, which is engage my students in a pretty deep, emotional, pretty jarring examination of plantation slavery, but then actually have them engage in a discussion. Well, what might be your idea of some personal benefits if you weigh it against the history?
Robinson says history is important to teach kids to understand the world we live in today, to piece together why things are the way they are. And despite some changes, his goals remain the same: to foster critical thinking. Jeff Van Sant, Spectrum News.